We're here today set for our final. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming and Ms. Taylor's making our record today. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Judge, I don't see that Amy is on audio.
Oh, you're right. She's not connected yet. Did she know we were starting early?
She did. I texted with her yesterday.
Okay. But we can't start this without her, so.
Right.
We are here today for our final, or to resume our final, which we began on April 16th of 2024. We recessed because we had some outstanding issues about paternity. So we are here to resume that. We are still conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. Excuse me. And we're live streaming and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, right?
Kenaraho for the mother, Julie Dustman. I'm present. She is not present, and I have not had any recent contact with her.
Stacey Grant on behalf of the father, Kendrick Ford, and Your Honor, I have sent the appropriate information to the jail for him to join this Zoom, but as of this moment, I don't think he is in the waiting room.
I do not have him in the waiting room. He was still in federal prison, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. It's very difficult to get anyone to even respond. I've not had any response to indicate that they had any intention to have him present.
And he was not present back in April either. They did not comply.
Correct.
Present. So, okay. All right. Well, we'll have to proceed. So,
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Kinsley.
okay. Mr. Trout, we need to recall.
Yes, ma'am, and I couldn't remember, Your Honor. I didn't mark it down whether I had already rested before this issue came up or if I needed to reopen. I wasn't sure.
Let's see. The last thing that I have. You had called Ms. Herrera. Admitted exhibits 1 and 2. Exhibit 3 was admitted of paternity registry search. And I think that's when we sort of stopped and realized we had a little bit of an issue because he had requested genetic testing.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though I had already ordered it, but the paternity registry was done. So we recessed to get the genetic testing back. So I don't show that you had necessarily even even rested.
Okay. I couldn't remember if I had or not. Okay. And I believe in that case, I believe Ms. Herrera was still on the stand.
I think Mr. Trout, based on my notes, at least you'd gotten through all of your exhibits.
Yes, ma'am.
And we stopped when we realized we had that issue. But so you can ask her whatever additional questions you have, and then we'll give everybody an opportunity to cross.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Herrera, since the last hearing, the last calling of this case, paternity testing was completed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did we get the return on the paternity test?
Yes.
And was that filed with the court?
Yes.
And did the paternity test come back with not excluding Kendrick Ford as the father?
Yes.
And that was filed with the court?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 7 that was sent out yesterday. It's the certified copy of the paternity test DNA test that was filed with the court on April 26th of 2024.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioners exhibit 7 will be admitted.
Based upon that report, would the department be asking for the father, Kendrick Ford, to be adjudicated as the father too?
Yes.
Is the department asking for termination of the parental rights of the mother, Julie Dustman, as to the child, Kinsley?
Yes.
And is the department also asking for the termination of the parental rights of Kendrick Ford?
Yes.
And do you believe that's in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
And neither parent has worked services at this time?
That's correct.
Father's incarcerated?
Yes.
or a lengthy sentence?
Yes.
And has mother had any visitations?
No.
Um, I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Naranjo?
Ms. Herrera, have you had any contact with Ms. Desmond since the last hearing?
No, I haven't. And on June 10th, I went to her sister's house, and Julie, there was a person in her car, but whenever she saw me pull up, she got back in the car and drove off. So I think that was Julie because it was her car, but they drove off. That's the last I've seen.
And per your last communication with Ms. Desmond, had she expressed that she wanted the child to remain in foster care with her brother?
I haven't had any contact recently with her.
But per prior contact, I think back in April.
Yes, she did email me. That's correct. Yeah.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Grant?
Ms. Herrera, is it common that until a paternity test is completed that a parent does not start services in a case?
No, that's not common.
So did Mr. Ford have any ability to do any services during the pendency of this case?
I sent him parenting packets, and he never sent them back. That's the only real opportunity that he was given while incarcerated.
And when is the last communication you had with him?
I sent him a letter on May 31st.
And did you receive any reply to that letter?
No, ma'am.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout? Anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Does the department rest?
Department
Okay.
rest.
Ms. Naranjo, anything to present today?
No, Your Honor, I'll rest as well.
Okay, Ms. Grant?
Your Honor, we have nothing and I rest.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I do believe it's in Kinsley's best interest that the parental rights be terminated for both parents at this time. She's doing incredibly well, and I recommend that she remain in placement.
All right, thank you. All right, then at this time, I do find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the child to terminate the parental rights between the child and her mother, Julie Desmond, based on Texas Family Code sections 161.001, subsection B1, the D, E, N, O, and R grounds, and 161.001 B2, the best interest of the child. I will adjudicate Kendrick Ford as the father of the parent-child relationship between the two of them. I, however, do find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the child to terminate the parental rights between the child and the father, Kendrick Ford, based on Texas Family Code 161.002, subsection B3, is failure to register with the paternity registry, and under 161.001 B1, the N and the Q grounds. Also Texas Family Code 161.001 B2, the best interest of the child. I'll name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the permanent managing conservator of the child, and I will dismiss all court-appointed attorneys from the case after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire, with obviously the exception of Ms. Zavala, who will remain as the child's attorney and guardian ad litem. I appreciate everybody returning today and getting this done even more quickly than what we had planned on. So thank you all for logging in early, and we will be in recess on a review hearing.
Thank you,
We're
Judge.
conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're also live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Rachel Peoples is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Roxana Ramirez. Judge, I have not had contact with her since she left Senate in February, but I'm here and I do not expect her to be here. Thank you, Judge.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the father, Poncelan Ponrath. I'm present. I have not had contact with my client, Your Honor.
And Judge Jerry Morales, I'm realizing that I am in the wrong case. I thought Evelyn Carnes was the next most recent case. So I'm just hanging around.
Oh, Jerry, and I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you want me to put you in the waiting room, or?
That'll be fine, Judge. I'll just stick around in the waiting room.
Okay.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Rafael.
Well, what's new since the report was filed?
Rafael is doing very well in his placement in Denver City. He's on track developmentally. He's a very clean boy. He picks up after himself very well, but he's very bonded with his foster parents. So that's good. But on the court report, I put that the results are pending from Roxana's UA and her hair follicle. Those have been back and they have been e-filed, and she was positive on both of those.
When was the last contact you had with her?
She texts me a lot. She is still working at Tyson. As of the end of May, she was still working at Tyson. So she'll send me a lot of text messages, like in the time frame when she is not at work, which is like from 12 noon to like 2 p.m. So it's kind of weird hours because she works from about 2 p.m. to midnight, I believe. So I have been able to meet with her monthly, except in April. So I believe.
Has she completed any services for us?
She did do Synacor. She completed her inpatient rehab. She did not do any outpatient rehab.
No, not at all. So she completed Synacor back in February.
Yes.
And now we've got positive drug screens again.
Yes.
Okay. Is she still in the same housing situation where she's living with some other people?
Yes. When I saw her last month, that's where she was at.
Okay. What about Dad? Any more word or contact with him?
I was able to make contact with Dad one time when I went to the house, but we had a short conversation, and the month I went after, I was able to give his family plan to a man who was living there, because I had seen him in the house, like through the window. I'd seen Dad, and then another man came to the door, and Dad just didn't want to talk to me. So, but I did make contact with him.
And we've made no progress on services with him, correct?
No. And I've asked him to drug screen, and he has not gone.
Okay.
Judge, we'd go ahead and ask for court order drug screens on Dad today. Believe also due to Mom's recent positive test again, that she needs to go through an OSAR again, if we can get her to go. But we'd ask for that to be ordered also.
All right, then, Mr. Nowak.
Thank you, Judge. And Rachel, thank you for always taking my phone calls. I know that this one started out really promising. I really had a good feel for Roxana. Is there any reason in your conversation with her why she just will not return a phone call or a text message or an email?
No, I've told her that she needs to call her attorney and all the things, but I don't know. I think she's really good at isolating. So when she knows she's doing the wrong thing.
Well, if you do make contact with her in the near future, please tell her she's got my number. You have my number as well. We can't fix it unless she participates. And that's all I have, Judge. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rachel.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, Rachel, do you have a current address for the father, Consulan?
I do, where I have met with him.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, where you had met with him, is that the house that's located on Goldenrod Street?
Yes.
Okay, and to your knowledge, that's still his current address?
Yes. Roxana did tell me, I believe it was last week, she had texted me that he had left. So don't know really what that means.
And you said that you had contact with him one time, and in your report, I think that it was noted that you made contact with him in, I believe in March. Was that the last time you had contact with him?
Yes. And that time in, I think I put in April, it was, hold on, I want to make sure. Yes, it was in April.
Okay.
When I put that in the court report where when he left the window and I heard him say, "It's my caseworker, it's my caseworker," and then someone else came to the door. So.
Okay. Your Honor, that's all I have. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay. Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Rafael's doing great in placement. Very smart, independent, working on 3, 4, 5 word sentences. So I do recommend that placement where he's thriving continues.
Okay. Then today I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the child's placement, find there be an ongoing danger to return the child home at this point in time. I'll order the father to drug test as soon as he can be reached, and order that mother will do another OSAR. I'll see everybody back for our final, which is scheduled on September 17th on a 9:00 docket.
And Judge, can we have hair follicle NUA on Dad's drug screens?
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't specify. My apologies. Yes. And I'm not going to limit that to today, just because I know that Ms. Peoples may not be able to make contact with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Just whenever you do make contact with him, Ms. Peoples, then he'll need to go that day. Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. For those of you leaving, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, can I speak to Vince quick in a waiting room, in a breakout room?
I'm sorry?
May I speak to Vince in a breakout room real quick?
Yep.
And Judge, I'll just leave the courtroom from that breakout room with your permission.
Sure.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Jackson, are you sure you don't want to go?
I'm trying to quit.
Recovery breakout room addict.
Rachel.
That's a good one.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. We're
Thank
here
you,
today
Judge.
on a review
Thank
hearing.
you.
We're
Have a good
conducting
rest
this
of
through Zoom under a finding of a good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and excuse me, Ms. Taylor's making our record. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jaleesa Bird is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Stacey Grant on behalf of the Mother Tesla Bar Sauvage. My client's present, Your Honor. We're ready and we are in agreement with the proposed order.
Jerry Morales for respondent father, Tanner Carnes. Your Honor, I've made several attempts to contact him, including his email address.
No, you fucking have not.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Obviously, Mr. Carnes is present. He's
Yes.
made himself abundantly known. Mr. Carnes, let me just tell you, outbursts are not tolerated, and that language is not tolerated. This is a courtroom.
I understand. I apologize. I just have not been contacted by nobody, and I will give my
Tanner.
phone to anybody that wants to see, because I have not had nobody try to get a hold of me, and I've tried to get a hold of them, and they will not answer the phone.
Okay, if you will just calm down, I'm going to offer you the opportunity to speak with your attorney privately, where you can make sure that he's got good contact information for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to put, since the two of you are together, Ms. Grant, I'm going to, I guess, send you in there with him unless he can go somewhere privately.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But I'll put you all in there and see how that works.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize for my language. It won't happen again.
Better not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then. I think we got everybody's announcements. So Ms. Byrd? What's our update today?
So Evelyn's doing well in her kinship home with her paternal grandparents. She's learning how to sort of walk. So she's standing and falling and crawling quite a bit. So she's doing well in her placement. Pretty happy baby and just adorable. And then with parents, the update I have, Tesla did move out of Tanner's home. And that was reported in May. And then with recent update, it's believed that parents are working on their relationship and potentially living together or planning to live together. So that's the most update that I have. Tesla did complete her services, and Tanner still has quite a bit of services to complete. So that's my update for right now.
Ms. Byrd, on mom services, I think the report says she's done, I think, 12 or 14 of that domestic violence class, I believe it was.
Yes.
As far as you know, has she done any more of those, or is she still sitting at the 12 or 14? Is that the last thing she's got?
I believe that's the last thing that she has. I know that she mentioned review.
I thought I finished all those. I'm sorry.
I have just the 12, but if you could provide just the other 2, then I can get that updated.
Okay, so I'll do 2 more. My bad. I will do that, and I just thought I was done. I'm sorry. I miscounted.
And Ms. Byrd, as far as dad, has he started any services?
He did start the parenting class in April, I believe. It was not completed. I do know that he did go to jail for the time in May. So I believe he will have to restart the parenting class just due to missing the other classes.
Okay. Any other services that he started, or is it to your knowledge?
For probation, he did get sent to inpatient with Synacor. So that would be a service that was completed. And then
when was that?
I believe that was in December.
Okay. All right. And then today, be asking for drug screens on mom and dad, hearing UAs, and alcohol screens.
Yes.
Judge, that is what we'd request. We'd also ask to go ahead and get an order for mediation on this case. I think we got our finals in September, but we'd like to go ahead and get an order in for mediation. Bless you.
Have they both been drug testing as requested?
Yes, just not for the month of May, due to both parents going to jail in the month of May.
Why were they in jail in May?
Both parents had warrants. Tesla did report that she did turn herself in to clear her warrant. And then Tanner had a warrant for probation that he completed in May as well.
Okay. And are they both attending visits?
Yes. Currently the visits are supervised by Tanner's mother, Tracy Carnes. So when she comes to town from Big Springs, they have at least 2 visits when she's in town for about a week, and she tries to come as often as she can.
Okay.
And visits are going well.
All right. Okay, Ms. Grant.
Judge, as Ms. Byrd stated, my client turned herself in order to clear her issues so that she could get her ID reinstated as part of this case. And we were hoping that perhaps mediation might be in order in this case to possibly come to an agreement prior to final hearing and see if we could work something out with the department.
Okay, Mr. Morales.
Your Honor, Mr. Carnes and I have cleared up the communication issues, got accurate numbers and email address, so that shouldn't be an issue moving forward. In addition, he reports that he did miss some services just because of the fact that he was incarcerated on a bond revocation. That has since been taken care of, so that should no longer be an issue moving forward as well. He did start on some of his services, as was reported. He did report to me that he has had significant problems getting a hold of Miss Bird. He said that he's tried several times and has not received a return call or message. He may be able to elaborate on that, Your Honor, but that's just what he wants me to report to the court, that he's having a lot of difficulty with the department getting back in touch with them so that he can get his services going. Other than that, he does have some new employment. It is a very promising employment, and that should create a whole lot of stability for him and his family. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, Evelyn's doing great in her placement, and I absolutely recommend that continue. I think mediation would be a great thing. I was surprised based on the reports and everything that had happened. I was surprised that the parents were back together, but if they're working on the relationship, that's good. I do, you know, as visits start increasing, I think it's important that parents know that if they're together, they're a together package, and both have to be working the services. So, but I absolutely recommend that Evelyn stay where she is.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Bird, are we going to look at couples counseling?
Yes, we would like parents to attend couples counseling. I would like to see Tanner start services. I have sent in authorizations and they have expired twice. So I'd really like to see Tanner start some services before we start the couples counseling.
Yeah, I mean, most counselors are just say they want to work with you as an individual first before they start working on you as a unit.
That's
so,
correct.
I'm sorry. I didn't know about the couples counseling. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm the one that's tossing it out there. If you guys think you're going to stay together and are going to try to make a go of this, I think it would be a very good idea for you all to engage in couples counseling. But the counselors are going to want you to do your individual first.
And Your Honor, can I clarify just for my client's understanding something that Ms. Zavala said? Ms. Zavala stated that they are a together package. And I routinely explain to my clients that they each have their own case and they each have their own attorney. But I wanted to explain for Ms. Barsavage's understanding that what Ms. Zavala is saying that is if they are residing together in the same home and they are having significant issues between the two of them, obviously that would become a major obstacle to either one of them independently reunifying with the child. But that her case is still separate as I have represented to her. Just a clarification, Judge, so that she understands what's at stake and the necessity of couples counseling should it be offered. We would definitely engage in that.
All right. Well, okay. Then today I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'm going to continue the child's current placement, make a finding that it would be a danger to return the child home at this point in time because of the fact we have not completed services. I will order the drug screens, hair, UA, and an alcohol screen on parents. You all need to show up before 4 o'clock today to get those done. I will order you all to mediation. We'll assign a mediator to you. And I'm going to order the couples counseling be made part of the service plan once individual counseling is done. Biggest problem is that as parents, y'all are running out of time. So you really need to get going hard on your remaining services. Okay, because we're scheduled for our final on September 3rd. And that'll be on the 9 o'clock docket. All right. I appreciate y'all visiting and getting your communication stuff worked out. And I'll see you back in September.
Thank you, Judge.
Could you place me in a breakout room with my client so that we could visit while you proceed with the docket?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to join as well, Judge.
Okay. So I don't know if they know how to move themselves back and forth, so I'm going to reassign you all.
Okay, cool, because I don't know how to do that.
I'll just put everybody in 3. and then you can leave from.
Judge, when did you want that deadline for mediation?
I guess it ought to be about August 20th.
Okay.
Judge Baker,
Yes, ma'am.
I was hoping to catch you between hearings. While we were in our breakout room with Ms. Barsavage and Mr. Carnes, an issue came up where he has to report to work. He's actually supposed to be there already and wants to know if he could drug screen by lunch tomorrow in order to be at his job.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let me make sure Daniel's hearing this.
Yes, ma'am, I heard it.
Okay.
So we just need to make sure the form covers tomorrow as well, Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll email my people.
Thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's no problem. We're waiting on some people in a breakout room, so good timing.
Thank you. Ms. Barsavage, you can be excused. And Judge, that was my last. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Listo?
We are here on a review hearing. We were set for a final, but I indicated to all parties that I would agree to an extension in the case and that we had extraordinary circumstances. And so I will grant the extension as requested. So we will conduct a review hearing today. We are holding this hearing through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're also live streaming on YouTube, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Abigail Lawrence is my primacy specialist. We're present ready.
Jay Michelson on behalf of Les Medellin. She is present and we're ready.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Lorenzo Hernandez, Judge. He is here along with an interpreter, Richard Perales. We are ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the child.
All right, then. Ms. Lawrence, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
So Aurelio is doing very well. We did receive the results from his allergy testing and everything came back negative. So his pediatrician, had ruled that it was just environmental allergies. So he is still doing breathing treatments twice a day to combat an ongoing cough that seems to never want to go away. But overall, he's doing really well. Luz is also doing really well. She's acknowledged the recent relapse and she's working on maintaining her sobriety. She completed an OSAR at the end of May, and the recommendations on that were individual counseling. And so she's doing her sessions with Delois, and that's going really well. Her and Aurelio have weekly visits with no concerns. I received a new number for Lorenzo from Luz, and I contacted him at the beginning of June. He let me know that he was back in the United States. He did not disclose where, and he did not answer me back when I had asked him if he was ready to get started on services. So I don't have much of an update as far as he goes.
Is the stated goal still reunification?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is the department requesting any drug testing or anything today?
Yes. Sorry, Abby. Yes, ma'am. We'd be requesting hair and UAs on mom. I'd like to go ahead and request them on dad also, since he's back in the country, but we don't know where he is. We got to figure out where to send the screens to you.
All right. So we'll talk with Mr. Hill about that in a minute. All right, Mr. Michelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Ms. Lawrence indicated, Luz has completed the OSAR. Her most recent UA was negative. I would ask if the department would consider increasing visitation time with Luz and Aurelio based on the fact that her OSAR indicated that she did not present signs of current maladaptive use of drugs, and her test was negative.
Okay, Ms. Lawrence, if her drug screens are negative, any objection to increasing her time?
No, ma'am.
And that's what we'd ask for, Your Honor, is just as long as these drug screens come back negative, or on the hair follicle, at least a lower rate, showing that it was going down, but as long as their UA is clean.
Okay, Mr. Michelson, is that fair enough?
I believe so.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Mr. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Michelson, go
No,
ahead.
I was going to say, I don't have anything else to report.
Okay, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, ma'am. So Mr. Hernandez is back in the country. He indicates that he's in Amarillo, and that he is willing to work services. He says that's why he came back from Mexico, so that he can work services to be a part of his child's life. He's telling me that he acknowledges paternity. Yeah, and I believe that's it for at least for today's hearing, Judge. He is willing to work services and wants to have that opportunity.
All right, Mr. Hill, do you think he would be fine with me adjudicating him today then?
Well, he indicated to me that he has no concern about not being the father, and he said even if he was not the father, he still wants to be the father. So I've explained to him what the consequences would be of you adjudicating him the father, and he was willing to do that.
Okay, very good. All right, and Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, the child is doing very well. I've got no concerns about upping the visits with mom as long as the drug screen is good. And I do recommend that placement continue.
All right, thank you. Okay, then, Mr. Hernandez, I'm glad that you're back in this area and you're willing to work services. When you get started on all that, we can set up and start visitation as well. But you are going to need to go drug screen for us to be sure that there's no danger exposing the child. Ms. Lawrence is your permanency specialist, and so she will be in touch with you about where you need to go drug screen, and you'll need to be there before 4 o'clock today.
¿Del día de hoy?
Yes. Can you be there before 4
Okay,
today?
so. Sí.
Okay. All right. I will also order the mother to go do a hair and UA. And if that's negative, then we can increase her visitation. I'm going to adjudicate Mr. Hernandez as the father of Aurelio and establish the parent-child relationship between them. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the child's placement. Find there is a continuing danger to send the child home today, but I think we're working in the right direction. I'll find that mother is in compliance with her service plan. Father is not, but if he gets engaged right away, then that won't be a problem. I do want to ask the question, and I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but are they together as a couple?
Estoy intentando hacer eso.
Okay. So, Ms. Lawrence, you can have further discussion with them and the attorneys as well. If they are going to try to reconcile a relationship, then we may want to obviously look at some couples therapy as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next hearing will be October 15th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. And our final is scheduled for December 17th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. Mr. Trout, have we calculated the new dismissal date?
Give me 1 second, Your Honor. Sorry.
That's okay.
Looks like Friday, December the 27th would be the new dismissal date.
Okay, so that's the new dismissal date. All right, then I'll see everybody back in October.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Corliss, thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Aviana Villa, we are here for our final today. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready.
Brooks Barfield for mom, Alexis Jasso. She is present and ready, as am I.
Jerry Morales for father, Elijah Castile, Your Honor. He is present. We are ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children, here and ready.
We're working against some issues. I'll just kind of let everybody know up front. I have a Floyd County adversary case scheduled at 1 o'clock. So we will break in this case for sure for me to do that. I can try to find out as quickly as I can how, how contested that may be or may not be. And then Mr. Morales has got something at 2:30. So we'll just, when we get to that point, we'll figure out what we're going to do. Ms. Taylor, do you have any restrictions this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am. I thought we were going to be done by 1 o'clock. So I have a doctor's appointment at 1:30.
Okay. So that pretty much answers that. So we've got about an hour. So, Mr. Trout, I don't know. Do we want to go for an hour on this, or do we want to try to look for, we can call and recess and look for a different date where we've got, a minimum of a half day, if not a full day?
Judge, I would ask that, I have Miss Bailey here. She's on the original removal and what happened in the middle of the case. So if we could at least get through Miss Bailey so she doesn't have to come back,
Okay.
If we can do that.
All right. I'm good with that.
Yep.
Okay. Call your first witness then.
Call Amy Bailey. How are you familiar with that case?
I was the investigator assigned.
And how did the department become involved in the case with these children?
We received a report alleging domestic violence between Miss Jasso and her boyfriend, Mr. Garza.
Okay. And were you ever able to make contact with mom and dad?
I was able to make contact with Miss Jasso and her boyfriend, but not the alleged father of the children.
Okay. At any point during your investigation, did mom give you the name of the possible father?
Yes.
And what was that name?
Elijah Castillo.
Okay. And you said mom's name was Miss Jasso. Do you remember her first name?
Alexis.
Okay. And when were you able to make contact with mom?
I made contact on March 18th, 2022.
And where were you able to make contact with mom?
At a neighbor's home.
Okay. And
where she was living, it was the neighbor.
Okay. I'm gonna ask that question again just because I kind of interrupted you. You said at a neighbor's home, a neighbor to who?
To Alexis Jasso.
Okay. And did mom state when she had moved into that home?
She said that she had moved in. Let me look. About, I don't think she gave me an exact date. She just said that she had just moved into that apartment.
Okay.
And that her mom stayed with her sometimes.
Okay. So it was an apartment that Miss Jasso had on her own?
Yes.
Okay. Had the department been involved working with Ms. Hasso prior to this?
Yes.
Okay. And from the records, do you remember what the department was involved for?
She was working with Family Base Safety Services because she had been arrested for DWI and had the children in the vehicle with her.
And do you recall how long they had been working with Ms. Hasso?
I believe, let me look. I don't know the exact date, but I believe it was around April of 2021.
Okay. So what did y'all try to do to prevent a removal at the time? What were your steps?
We, the family-based worker and I implemented a PCSP with a maternal cousin.
Okay. And how did that go?
That only lasted 3 days, and the maternal cousin called and said that she had things going on and would not be able to be placement for the children any longer.
During that time, was Ms. Hasso screening for you?
Yes.
Okay. And did the screens have concerns?
Yes.
Okay. And was that all during your investigation?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you meet with Ms. Hasso to discuss the screens?
Yes.
And what was her response to that?
She stated that the screen should be negative. We informed her that it was positive, and I asked what it would be positive for. She said marijuana, and I informed her that it was also positive for cocaine.
Okay. Did you ask about alcohol at that time?
The family-based worker, Ms. Rosner, did ask her about alcohol, and she said it would probably be positive as well.
Okay. But when the screens finally came back, it was the cocaine and the marijuana that it was positive for?
Yes.
Okay. Due to the maternal cousin not wishing to do the PCSP anymore, was it decided that in the best interest of the children to remove at that time?
Yes.
And that was based upon the screens coming back around the same time the maternal cousin would not follow through?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that was in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall where the children were placed at that time?
When they were removed from the cousin?
Yes, ma'am.
In a foster home.
Okay. Were you ever able to speak with the father?
No, I was not.
Okay. Did you make attempts to get in touch with him?
Yes, I did.
And what were your attempts at that time?
I ran a check and came back with 2 possible Elijah Castillos in Amarillo. I went to both of those addresses. At the first one, I left a business card, never heard back from anybody. The second one, I was able to make contact with a gentleman who stated that his son was named Elijah Castillo, but that he does not live in Amarillo. He did pass along my information to that gentleman. And I received a phone call that Elijah Castillo that called me stated that he now lives in New York and he did not know who Alexis Hasso was.
Okay. So during your time in the investigation, the report you ran, the people you made contact with, you don't believe were the Elijah Castillo, that's the father in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. As far as other family members, were there any other family members besides the maternal cousin? Had you been given any other names?
No.
Okay.
Judge, I think we lost Miss Taylor.
Yep. All right, everybody hang on.
Sorry, Judge, y'all froze and then I was gone. They were talking about the father and contact with him.
I will back up to that, John.
Okay.
Ms. Bailey, could you tell us again your contact with the father?
I did not have any contact with the father in this case.
Your steps that you went through, sorry, your steps you went through to try to contact the father.
I ran a check and came up with 2 possible Elijah Castillos in Amarillo. I went to both of those addresses. At the first one, there was no answer at the door, so I left a business card. No one ever called me from that address. I went to the second address and made contact with a gentleman who stated that his son was named Elijah Castillo, but that he no longer lived at that residence. He passed my information along to his son, and that Mr. Castillo did call me. He stated that he lives in New York and that he did not know who Alexis Jasso was.
Okay. So from during your time in the investigation, the checks you ran and the names that came back to you, you do not believe those are the same Elijah Castillo that is the father in this case?
No, sir.
Did Mama give you the name? Did she give you any kind of contact information?
No, she said that she did not have a phone number and address, didn't know any of his relatives' names.
Okay. As far with Mom, you discussed the maternal aunt or cousin, I believe it was, that the PCSP was done with. Did Mom give you any other family names that you could look at?
No. She had spoken with Jana Rosner, the family-based worker, on that aspect of it, and as far as I know, she did not provide anyone else to Miss Rosner.
Okay. So the one family member that you were able to do a PCSP with is the only one you knew of?
Yes.
Okay. And that person backed out after a few days?
Yes, sir.
And so not being able to find the alleged father, the concerning drug screens with Mom, and not having the PCSP anymore, decision was made to remove the children for their safety?
Yes, sir.
And you believe that was in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Garfield?
Thank you. Ma'am, when was the last time you did work on this case?
It was April 7th, 2022.
Okay. And have you done any follow-up other than preparing for your testimony today on what Alexis has done or not done in regards to working services and cooperating with the department?
No, sir.
Okay. So would you agree with me that everything he testified to up to this point is pretty dated information?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Morales?
Thank you. Miss Bailey, given the grounds you stated, Mr. Castillo was a non-offending parent, is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe you stated that during your course of your investigation, you were never able to contact him?
Correct.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
Ms. Bailey, you said your first contact with Mom was March 18th. At that point, however, had she already been involved with the department for 11 months?
Yes.
Had you been a part of that family-based case that had been ongoing?
No, ma'am.
As part of your investigation, did you work with that family-based caseworker to find out kind of what the status was with Mom?
Yes, ma'am.
During that family-based case, was Mom given an opportunity to work services specifically regarding drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
Did she take advantage of those services?
No.
And 11 months later, she was testing positive for cocaine and marijuana?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if she ever started any of those family-based services?
I do not know.
So the department had worked with Ms. Faso for almost a full year to try to prevent removal, correct?
Yes.
I pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Trout?
Yes, ma'am, real quick. Ms. Bailey, you'd stated that originally Mom had become involved, or the department had become involved with Mom due to an arrest. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the arrest was for driving while intoxicated with one of the children in the car?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask to go ahead and admit exhibits 4, 5, and 6. They are the indictment for driving while intoxicated with a child under 15 is exhibit number 4. Exhibit number 5 is the judgment of conviction on that. and exhibit number 6 is a supplemental order amending probation terms. Those are all certified copies.
All right, any objections to 4, 5, or 6?
No objection?
No objection.
All right, petitioner exhibits 4, 5, and 6 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll pass. No further questions. I'll pass these.
All right, anybody else have any further questions for Ms. Bailey?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then is Ms. Bailey free to go? Can she be excused?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Bailey, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. It's very nice to see you. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Mr. Trout, do you have any shorter witnesses?
No, ma'am. I believe it's going to be let me see. Give me 1 second, John.
Well, he's looking. It looks like 1 o'clock on the 11th of July. Is that working, Judge, for a reset? It looks
That's
like.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's the best day for me. If not, we're having to call judges because of jury trials, which is fine. But that seems I'm already on your docket that day too. So I think that works out best for.
Well, we have enough stuff set that morning. I'm afraid it'll take us most of the morning to get through that. So
Sure.
I think we might as well just say 1 o'clock. But
yeah,
everybody come, prepared for the duration, so to speak.
Okay.
Judge, I'm sorry, Brooks.
No, go ahead, Danny.
I was supposed to look at the docket real quick. I know that I had a few finals set today. I can't remember what's going on with all of those.
Well, let's look at them and talk about it, because if we could start earlier, it would be good. But
remember, I think the Garcia and Orta case, I think we have to reconvene on a mediation on July 2nd on that one. Isn't that right, Brooks?
I think, let me pull my calendar up. I think you're right on that.
We may be able to get something done on that. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Yeah.
And then the rest is after finals, it looks like. But then the one other final, the Gonzalez, which Brooks is also on.
Yeah. Orta's at 1 o'clock to reconvene that mediation. Yeah.
So maybe we'll have those, but it's all after finals and the 3 finals that morning, Judge. Hoping I can get through all those that morning. But other than that, 11th looks fine.
you think there's a possibility we could start even, at 11 or something?
I'm good with it. As soon as we get through the others, I'm good going into it.
Your Honor, it looks like lots of them are the after finals, and although I've still got to check with everybody, I am betting that I'd be able to sign off on several of them.
Well, we have a continuation of another final. It looks like already that morning, correct?
Which
Yes.
continuation is that, Judge? I can't remember.
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, yes.
So, I don't know how long that's going to take. Let's just leave it set at 1.
Okay.
Go.
And so I don't know at this point, then Mr. Trout, I don't know whether you want to take up another witness or we want to just recess here and start fresh on the 11th.
Judge, I got one witness I could call real quick. I could call Mr. Castillo real quick. But if you want me to just wait, I can wait.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I'd call Mr. Castillo.
All right, Mr. Trout, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Castillo, would you state your name for the record, please?
Elijah Castillo.
And Mr. Castillo, you are the father to Aven and Aiden?
Yes, sir.
And you did a paternity test during this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were found to be the father of both?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware that in, I believe it was January 9th of 24, you were adjudicated by this court.
Yes, sir.
Where are you currently?
I am in Montford facilities.
Okay. And you're there on 2 different charges?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge, I would ask to admit exhibit number 19, 20, 21, and 22. They are the indictments and the judgments for the 2 cases that Mr. Castillo is on. They're both certified. They're all 4 certified judgments.
No objection.
No objection.
Oh, I have no objections, Judge.
All right, and that's 19, 20, 21, and 22?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, petitioners exhibits 19 through 22 will be admitted.
And Judge, for the record, exhibit number 19 is the indictment for a burglary of a habitation. Exhibit number 20 is the judgment adjudicating guilt, sentencing Mr. Castillo to 5 years. 21 is the indictment on the second charge of burglary of a hab. And 22 is the judgment adjudicating that case, also giving 5 years. Mr. Castillo, how long have you been aware of this case?
Since the caseworker approached me in county jail, which I don't remember the exact date.
Okay. At that time, you were just the alleged father, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you ever offered any services to work?
No, only when I was incarcerated. During my incarceration, I was.
Okay. During that time, did you refuse to work any services or start any services till you were known to be the father?
No, sir.
Okay. You never said that you didn't want anything to do with the case because you weren't sure?
No, sir. I never said anything. Yeah.
Okay. Have you started working any services at this time?
No, sir.
Have you ever been given parenting pack or anything that you could do while you were in jail?
Well, I have participated in classes that enhance my parenting skills, but that's about it.
Okay. Were those classes provided through the jail and through the packet that the worker has sent you?
No, sir.
Okay. Were those just on your own?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you discussed with the worker on whether those would qualify for any of your services?
No, sir, but I do have the certificates for them.
Okay. Have you turned those over?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever received a copy of your family plans?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just the other day, did you meet with the worker?
Yes, sir.
And you went over those family plans and signed them?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 24. It's the family plan of service that was filed with the court on 6/24, and they are the signed copies from Mr. Castillo.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Exhibit, I'm sorry, which one?
24.
Oh, that came in the second email.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I sent them in this morning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Petitioner's exhibit 24 will be admitted.
Mr. Castillo, were you aware of the family plans and needing to work services prior to 4 days ago or a few days ago?
Yes, sir, but I was giving them over my tablet, which I wasn't able to return or sign.
Okay. During the course of this case, were you aware that you had an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ever try to make contact with them, letters, calls, or anything while you've been incarcerated?
I sent one letter to St. Francis Ministries, but not directly to my lawyer.
Okay, but you were aware you had an attorney?
Yes, sir.
And did you ever reach out to find out what you needed to be doing or could be doing?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Barfield?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At any time, did you what do you believe would be in the best interest of your children at this point?
Well, I have no idea, honestly. I tried to get my mother to get custody, but that didn't happen due to reasons that you guys know about. I guess a frequent visitor, and since I'm incarcerated, I wasn't able to do anything. She's going to be one of my main support persons, so that's going to cause issues for me. And also that frequent visitor is also someone who comes to visit me very often. But I have no idea, honestly, at this point of what I could do. I did, try to take classes in drug awareness and parenting skills and stuff like that. Not knowing
Let
about
me
this
ask you
case.
this. When is your projected release date?
My projected release date is in August 18th, 2024.
Okay. All right. And do you have an opinion as to whether you believe your children should be placed with their mother?
I don't know. I don't want to say anything about that.
Okay. And currently you're unable to care for the children due to the situation that you're in. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Morales?
Thank you. Mr. Castillo, did you actually make parole sometime last week?
Yes, sir.
And that was approved. And are you aware of your exact date of release?
No, sir. Just the month of July.
Okay. What are your plans for whenever you're released?
Well, I already have multiple job opportunities, working in construction and stuff like that. I just plan to get on my feet and try to complete my parole program.
Are you going to have to report to a halfway house for any period of time after your release?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And where do you plan to parole to? Like what city or with a parent or something like that?
Yeah, I'm planning to parole to my mother's house where, they said kids weren't going to be able to be there.
And does she currently reside in Amarillo?
Yes, sir.
And in the event that your children are unadopted at the time, would you able to work? Will you be able to secure or work services even if you have to pay for them yourself upon your release?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand that includes things like parenting, counseling, well, basically everything that Ms. Novak went over on your family plan of service. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Did you see anything that you in that plan of service that you might be unable to complete? Is there anything that you think you might have difficulty once you're released?
No, sir.
I'll pass witness.
All right, Ms. Ball.
Mr. Castillo, when did you become incarcerated?
About a year and a half ago.
So back in 2022?
Yes, I think, yes.
And is that when you went into county jail?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
What month?
I don't exactly remember. I wasn't in Mississippi. That's where I was arrested originally at, and I was there before I got expedited into Texas.
Were you living in Mississippi at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been living in Mississippi?
For a few years.
When was the last time that you saw Aviana and Aiden?
I don't think I've ever seen them.
So you don't have a relationship with the kids?
No, ma'am.
I pass witness.
Okay. Mr. Trout, any further questions of this witness?
Yes, ma'am. Just a few more. Mr. Castillo, you said you were arrested in Mississippi and then brought back to Texas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you arrested in Mississippi on other charges or on these warrants?
It was on these warrants.
Okay, so you don't have anything pending out of Mississippi?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any criminal history out of Mississippi at all?
No, sir.
You
These
stated,
charges are the only ones I have. They're from whenever I was 17 years old.
okay. You said you answered to your attorney a while ago that your projected release date is August 18th of 2024.
Yes, sir.
What is your maximum sentence date?
I believe it's in 2027.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask just to admit exhibit number 9. It's the printout from the state's website, TDCJ website, stating the dates that we're discussing in his maximum date.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 9 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions, Your Honor. I'll pass those.
Okay, Mr. Barfield, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Morales,
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Okay, I think then this is a logical place to go ahead and recess. So I'll see everybody back on the 11th. And Mr. Morales, I guess you'll need to make arrangements to have Mr. Castillo present again.
And Mr. Castillo, if you're released, you need to contact me. You can Google me. My number is easy to find. But I need to know how to contact you so that I can get you the link, or you need to come into my office because we're going to reconvene this on July 11th at 1 o'clock. And if you're not there, obviously you need to make arrangements to appear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. And hope all of you have a good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, I want to ask Ms. Novak and Ms. Brown real quick. The 11th's good for y'all, correct? I don't want an email in a few days saying I'm not going to be there. So are y'all good that day?
Works for me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
We're here today set for our adversary hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. And I'm recording to the Zoom cloud. We're also live streaming. Okay, we'll take everybody's announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I am present and ready with investigator. Well, I don't see her. Oh, yeah, Investigator Lupe Perez and Supervisor Natalie Thacker from the department. I'm also present and ready with Permanency Specialist Lisa Hooper and with Dakota Miller standing in for Jasmine DeVroe, Supervisor for St. Francis Ministries.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Miss Mata. We are both present and ready.
Tim Shaw, representing the father, Mr. Hicks. We're present and ready, Your Honor.
Linda Evelyn, attorney and guardian ad litem for the children, present and ready.
Okay, thank y'all. All right, then, Ms. Ferguson, I'll let you.
Thank you, Your Honor. It is my understanding that the parties are in agreement for the department to take temporary managing or to continue temporary managing conservatorship today. The parties are in agreement that the department made reasonable efforts in this removal and have also an agreement for the parents to be possessory conservators doing services and having visitation in this case. At least one parent has requested a home study with Brenda Helflin, and the department has agreed to do that if based on the preliminary check, there's nothing that would bar that home study, such as criminal or CPS history. Also, the department is not seeking at this time any child support or medical support. We would ask in lieu of that the parties be aware that they will be asked to provide their own transportation to services and to do services. So the costs associated with those services, we would ask for that in lieu of child support and medical support today.
Do they have transportation? Do we know?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Ms. Ferguson, go ahead.
And that, I believe, is the agreement of the parties at this time. And I think, I'm not sure if the ad litem has another request to make regarding the children.
Okay, first of all, let me just check. Ms. Kincaid, is that you and your client's agreement?
It is, with the exception that I may have a different name than Brenda Heflin for the department. So if that change is needed, I'll provide that to the department so that we can get the right person.
Okay.
But that is our agreement, Your Honor.
Excuse me. I spoke with Brenda Heflin last week and she was not interested in being placement unless
Yes, that's what since my conversation with my client, we've learned that we may need to find someone.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, it's the department's intention to work with the parties to find out who they want the home study and to do a home study on any family members that are appropriate.
Sure. Okay. All right, Mr. Shaw, is that your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Evelyn?
I am in agreement, Your Honor. The only thing I would request is that the court order that the children be drug tested. I'm requesting hair strands. And I don't know that UAs can be done on a 2 and a 3-year-old, but I do want drug testing.
I think the answer is no, but we hair test. And it is, in fact, not only the ad litem's concern, but I had a note specifically that I would like to see that done.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, just for clarification, are you asking it to be done at our drug testing facility? I think it's, Lisa, can you tell me what it is?
I believe it's drug screen compliance in Lubbock.
Okay.
Your Honor, they have been drug tested already.
Not through the state, they have not.
Oh, okay. No, they just went to the doctor. The CPS had asked them to take them to the doctor and stuff. So.
Okay. Well, we'll just run we're going to do a hair test on them.
Yes, ma'am.
It's probably a different type of test. So, I mean, there's different panels and what they test for. And so, okay. All right, then where are the children placed right now?
Your Honor, I would ask Lisa Hooper to answer.
In a basic foster home?
No, Your Honor, they're with relatives.
They have been separated. They are both with maternal aunts. They're in Floydada. One is with 2 different aunts. There's been concern with these placements. I don't know at this point if they're going to hold. Concerns with the home study, and we have not gotten daycare approved yet. One of them is 2 years old, and we have requested a waiver for him to have daycare also to help his socialization skills. His doctor recommended that last week. The daycare in Floydada is full, and so they would have to be taken to We Care in Plainview. But we have not received those approvals back yet. So, but they are placed right now with maternal aunts in Floydada.
Okay. Well, we'll do everything we can to maintain that so that, it's easier for parents to have visitation. We'll do what we can do.
Yes,
Judge, if they decide to move the children, could they give us notice so that we could set a placement hearing?
Sure, I have no problem with that. If things are falling apart, let us know, and we'll schedule something and get together.
And Your Honor, we would just ask that, because I'm going to be out of the country for the next few weeks. I would just ask that, the caveat with that be if anybody is violating the safety plan at the placement, that the department have the permission to move the children at the time that the safety plan is being violated. And also I would ask that, that if the placements themselves refuse to continue on as placement, obviously the department can't provide a 10-day notice.
Right. Sure. So, if it's something we've got, that we have the luxury of having time to have a placement hearing. It's not something that's either an emergency or, placement has said, I can't do this, or, something of that nature. Obviously, then if time permits, I'm happy to do a hearing. So, okay.
Thank you. But we will give all parties notice as soon as we have knowledge that there's a problem with the placement.
Okay. All right, then. Anybody have anything else they need to cover, deal with today?
Your Honor, I would just ask Ms. Hooper to just address for clarification of the parties what the visitation plan is and what restrictions on their contact with the children at this time are until services are worked.
Currently, they are having an hour per week with the boys together. This week, I haven't contacted the parents yet, but we are going to schedule one for Thursday with the boys together. The father travels out of town, I believe, every other week. So he may not make all the visits, but the mother said she will be available for weekly visits at in Floydada.
I'll be there.
And Lisa, are they allowed to have unsupervised contact or contact with the children outside of the visitation times?
No, ma'am, they are not.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, and let me just say to the parents, and I'm not singling you all out. I say this to lots and lots of parents who have children placed with family members. Do not ask them to allow you to see the children outside of that visitation order, because, you know, it puts them in a really bad spot. And ultimately we always end up finding out about it. And then we're in a position where we end up having to move the kids because people can't follow the rules. So, you know.
Yes, ma'am. We understand that. We don't want to risk anything.
Yeah. Just don't ask them to bend the rules, and you know, we'll all be in a better place.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then. I do find the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of the children. I'll approve the agreement for no child support or medical support. Expect that parents will work services. I will expect the department to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. I will order that there's no change in placement unless there's an emergency, something like a violation of the safety plans, placement backs out, something of that nature where we do not have time to have a hearing. And obviously that attorneys will be notified, you know, if there's a problem brewing with placement. Parents will have supervised visitation of the children. And our next hearing will be July 25th of 2024. That will be on a 1 p.m. docket, just like today. You'll get a new Zoom link. And you can get started on your services. You know, we'll talk more about your service plans at the next hearing, because between now and that time, the departments in St. Francis, they're going to sit down with you and develop the service plans, what all you all need to do. So the sooner you get going on those things, the better. But we will discuss those at greater length at our next hearing. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation. And yeah, part of my order is to drug test the children by doing a hair test. And hopefully we won't have any issue there. Okay, then I appreciate everybody's attendance. I appreciate your cooperation in working these things out. And parents, I wish you all the best of luck. We want to be successful. Everybody here is here to help. And I know a lot of times parents look at the department as the enemy, but they're really not. They're really here to help. We really want to make sure you don't find yourselves back in this position again. So take the assistance that's being offered to you and you know, just make some permanent changes. Okay. I appreciate everybody, and you all are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have the rest of your afternoon.